Hey everyone, welcome back to Higher Calling. We're rolling into day 19 of our 30 days of faith, and I'm so thrilled you're here with me. Today's all about finding joy in trials. Alright, let's paint the picture. Ever have one of those days where everything feels like it's piling on? And joy seems like the last thing you could possibly feel? Maybe it's early afternoon, work's throwing punches, your kids melting down over something small, or a bill lands that you didn't see coming. I've been there, last week. I'm halfway through a Friday. 1 p.m. My boss drops a last-minute deadline that's brutal. My kid's crying because he lost his favorite toy. And my wife's stressing over a car repair we can't afford right now. My head's pounding. How am I supposed to find joy in this mess? And I'm grumbling. Tempted to snap or just shut down. Ever feel that? Where the day's heavy and trials are stacking up, making joy feel like a stranger? Those moments, they're real. They're rough. And they test your faith like nothing else. I'll be honest, trials hit hardest when the day's in full swing. Morning's got that fresh vibe, you're sipping coffee, praying for strength, feeling like you can face anything. Night rolls in, and it's quieter, you're reflecting, maybe finding a sliver of peace. But early afternoon, midday chaos? That's when it lands, when the day's worn you down. Energy's fading, and joy feels buried under the weight. Take yesterday, 2 p.m. I'm at my desk. Deadline looming, kids' tantrums still echoing in my head. And I'm thinking, joy? In this? You've got to be kidding. It's not loud despair, it's a quiet grind. A drag that makes you wonder if you can smile when everything's going sideways. Ever had that midday pile on where you're not breaking, just bending? Where's the joy in this? That's where we're starting, because trials are real. And they love to test your heart. Here's where faith steps in with a lifeline, because joy? It's not gone, it's hidden. And God's word shows you how to find it even when trials roar. In James chapter 1 verses 2-3, it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." That's not just a pep talk, it's a game changer for when the day's dark and your soul's tempted to grumble. Ever feel like trials are too big for joy? That's when this hits. God's not asking you to fake it, He's calling you to see it. Even when it's chaos. Over the next 100 minutes, we're diving deep into how finding joy in trials isn't about pretending, it's about faith shining when it's hard. I'll walk you through a Friday where trials nearly crushed me, work piled. Tears flowed, but joy broke through. We'll unpack the Bible. James chapter 1 verse 2-3's not fluff. It's a promise for your toughest days. And we'll get practical. Real steps to find joy when the heat's on. Because who hasn't grumbled through a trial and wished for more? This isn't about ignoring the pain, it's about finding joy right in it. Last week, I'm pacing at 1:30 p.m., deadline's tight. Kids upset, and I'm thinking, joy's not here. Ever been there? Midday trials burying your smile? That's your moment. Joy doesn't erase the mess, it grows through it. So grab your coffee, or whatever's keeping you upright, get comfy. And let's roll. Quick question to chew on. When's the last time a trial hit and you wish you'd found joy instead of grumbling? Jot it down, we'll circle back. Day 19's about finding joy in trials when the day's wild. Let's dive in together. Okay, Higher Calling fam, let's kick off the core of day 19, finding joy in trials. We've set the stage with those midday moments when trials pile on, work pressing, kids crying, bills landing, and joy feels like a long-lost friend. Now, let's dig into what it really means to find joy in trials. Why it's so tough when the day's rolling, and how it stretches your faith to the limit. This isn't about the easy joy when life's smooth. These are the gritty times when chaos hits. And joy feels like a stretch you're not sure you can make. Ever hit that point where you're grumbling? Joy? In this mess? That's where we're starting, because finding joy in trials is real. It's raw, and it's a faith fight worth wrestling for. James chapter 1 verse 2-3's our anchor. Consider it pure joy. My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let's unpack what that looks like when the clock's ticking past 1 p.m. and the heat's on. So, what's finding joy in trials? It's that stubborn, steady choice to see God's good, even when the day's a mess and your heart's tempted to groan. Picture this, it's Friday. 1:15 p.m. I'm at my desk. Boss drops a brutal deadline. My kid's teacher texts. He's crying over a lost toy. And my wife's stressing a car repair bill we didn't budget for. My head's pounding. How's this joyful? Where's the good? I'm grumbling, ready to snap or shut down, because chaos is loud. And joy feels buried. Ever feel that? Where midday's a grind, trials stack up. Stress spikes, and joy seems like a joke? That's it, gritty, tough, a tug on your soul when everything's screaming. This stinks. I've been there, staring at my screen, muttering, this is the opposite of joy. Why midday? Because that's when trials hit hardest, when morning's hope fades and you're stuck in the thick. Feeling the weight. Early hours? You're fresh, coffee's hot. Prayers for strength are bold. Joy's easier to grab. Night? You're winding down, finding some calm. But 1 p.m., 2 p.m., that's the crunch, when the day's wearing you. And trials make joy feel impossible. Last Thursday, 1:30 p.m. I'm at home, deadlines looming. Kids' tantrum echoes. Wife's worried, and I'm groaning. Joy? Seriously? Ever had that midday strain? Where you're not collapsing, just grinding. Can I smile through this? It's not loud misery, it's a quiet drag. A shadow that makes joy feel out of reach when the heat's on. I've clenched my fists, not now, till my knuckles hurt. Sound familiar? That's when trials love to test your heart. Let's unpack James chapter 1 verses 2-3. James isn't writing this from a cozy retreat. He's leading a church scattered by persecution. Trials everywhere, and he's blunt. Consider it pure joy. Ever think about that heat? Last Friday, 1 p.m., work's brutal. Kids crying, I'm grumbling. But whenever you face trials, says see it. Ever feel like trials kill joy? James says no, they grow it. Because you know, it's not blind, testing produces perseverance. Ever pray for peace and feel crushed? That's when this hits. Faith finds joy in the grind. Not the fix, it's a lifeline when chaos roars. Why's this matter? Because trials strain your soul, it's small but sharp. Big disasters? Rare. These hits? Daily. Last Wednesday, 2 p.m. Kids still upset. Bills looming. I'm thinking. Joy's not here. Ever feel trials bury your smile? I've glared at my phone. Fix this, over nothing. Regretted it fast. That's the trap. Trials don't scream, they grind. And before you know it, you're groaning. Maybe joy's not for now. Ever grumble and wonder why? That's it. Chaos tests joy when you're stretched. I've snapped. Not today, till my throat hurt. This isn't fluffy. Trials are a wrestle. Joy's the fight. We're wired to groan. This stinks, but trials thrive on that. Ever grumble and crash? Last Monday, 1:45 p.m. Work's piling. Kids loud, I'm growling. No way, ends in me sulking. Feeling worse. James chapter 1 verses 2-3 says, consider it joy, not your fix, testing builds. Ever push a trial and regret it? That's the lie. Joy's later, but faith says, joy's now. I've had moments, car bill. Kids' tears, why me? Ever wrestle that? It's real, where joy gets gritty. Why midday? Because it's raw, everyone's watching. Morning's private, joy's bold. Night's calm, peace is easy. Midday? Public, co-workers, family. They see you snap or smile. Last Tuesday, 1 p.m., store line slow. Kids tugging, I could groan. But consider it joy, says see it. I nod, busy day. Huh? Clerk nods. I'm steady, not my win. Faiths, ever blow it midday? I've snapped, moved, felt dumb. Joy? That's choosing, not loud. Real. Joy isn't escaping, it's growing now. Last Friday, 2 p.m. Work's heavy, I'm grumbling. Where's it? Ever feel that? That's your shot. Pure joy isn't later, it's now. I've groaned. Regret every time, but choosing joy? That's faith, small, steady. Ever smile in a trial and feel lighter? That's it, not dodging. Growing. Next, a Friday where trials hit hard. But for now, what's your midday trial? Work crunch? Kid cry? That's your fight, joy's your stand. Okay, Higher Calling fam, let's get personal now. Time to roll into a story for day 19, finding joy in trials. We've unpacked what joy in trials means. And now I'm taking you into a Friday where I learned the hard way that grumbling's a dead end. But choosing joy? That's a lifeline. James chapter 1 verses 2-3. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials, is our anchor. And I'll show you how it played out when chaos hit midday and I had every chance to groan. I'll give you two versions. One where I let trials bury me and turned into a grumpy mess nobody wanted near. And one where I leaned into faith and found joy in the mess. Ever had a day where trials made joy feel impossible? Stick with me, this one's raw, real, and straight from my own wrestle. So, it's Friday, 1:15 p.m., and the day's already a slog. Morning started rough, coffee's weak. Kids whining about a lost toy. I'm late out the door. I'm at work now, boss drops a brutal deadline. My phone buzzes, wife texts. Car repairs $500 more than we thought, and the teacher calls, he's crying again. I'm starving. Lunch was a stale granola bar, coffee's cold. And the clock's ticking, 1:30 p.m. Midday crushing, joy? In this, my head's pounding, mood's sour, God, why now? Ever had that midday pileup? Where trials gang up and joy feels like a ghost. That's me. Friday, round 1, version 1. No joy. Just grumble. I'm in full-on groan mode, this stinks. Boss's deadline? I spiral. This is impossible. God's not helping, muttering. I'm sunk. Teacher's call? I snap. Another meltdown? Great, voice sharp. Regret instant. Wife texts. Car's worse, I growl. We're broke, no faith. Just gloom. Tone like a blade. I pace, slam my pen down, why me? By 2 p.m. I'm a wreck, joy's gone. Trials win. A grumpy mess nobody wants near. Ever been that guy? Where midday trials sink you and you're snarling by afternoon. That's Friday. Joyless, zero light. All regret piling up. Rewind. Version 2. With joy. Same Friday. Same slog, weak coffee. Kids toy. Trials stacking. Clock's ticking past 1:30 p.m. but this time, I don't let grumbling rule. I'm at my desk. Deadline glaring. Teacher's call ringing. When James chapter 1 verses 2 to 3 hits, consider it pure joy. I'm like, now? In this? But I pause, right there. Chaos blaring. Take a shaky breath. Mutter, God, this is rough, help me see joy. Not polished, no bells, just a plea from a guy on the edge. No zap, but a nudge, I'm here. Ever try that? Just stopping when trials roar? It's weird, but it shifts, like the mess is still allowed. But it's not the boss. So, I lean in, boss's deadline? I breathe, think, joy in testing, I'll push. Teacher's call? I soften, we'll sort it. Thanks, calm, not curt. Wife texts, I nod. God's got us. We'll figure it, no pacing, I sit. Pure joy, not grumpy me today. By 2 p.m., I'm not wrecked, I'm steady. Deadline's tight, car's costly, trials didn't win. Ever feel that? Where joy sneaks in and you're not growling. What's the difference? Version 1. I'm a wave, trials toss me. I'm sour, killing light, wife stressed, teachers dodged, grumbling owns me. A snarling wreck. Version 2. I anchor. Consider it joy, doesn't fix the mess, it steadies me. That 10-second prayer, help me see, didn't erase trials, but lit my faith. Ever notice grumbling grows the dark? I've snapped at clerks, hurry, sulked, till I sank, regret every time. Joy? That's peace, I push. I breathe, small wins. Big light. Ever turn a growl into a grin? That's Friday. Joyful. Proof this works when trials bite. This isn't polished, deadlines brutal. Cars broke, kids upset, but I wasn't alone. Testing produces, isn't a fix, it's a joy when chaos grinds. Work didn't ease, but my heart lifted, kid didn't calm, but I stayed soft. Ever find joy in a trial and feel stronger? That's faith, not my mood. His work, I got home, kid giggling, thinking, how'd I not snap? Not me, God's joy grows. Midday trials, they're daily. Yours might be Thursday, every afternoon when chaos spikes. Point is, joy isn't later, it's now. Ever smile in a mess and feel it? That's joy, small, steady, real. Why's this hit? Because trials test your heart. Joy proves your faith. I've grumbled, groaned over a bill, felt cold after. But Friday? Joy won, not slick. Just solid, I stood light. Next, we'll dig scripture. But for now, what's your Friday trial? Work crunch? Kid cry? That's your shot, joy's your stand. Okay, higher calling fam. Let's dig deeper now. Time to crack open the Bible for day 19, finding joy in trials. We've talked what joy looks like in that Friday where I went from grumbling to steady by choosing faith. Now, let's see what Scripture really says about finding joy when trials hit midday, when chaos presses and your heart's tempted to groan. This isn't just a cozy verse, it's raw, battle-ready truth that meets you in the thick of work crunches, kid tears, or unexpected bills. We're anchoring on James chapter 1 verses 2 to 3. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and pairing it with Romans chapter 5 verses 3 to 4. We also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. These aren't fluffy lines, they're lifelines for your toughest days. Ever wonder how James and Paul found joy in chaos? Stick with me. We're unpacking what the word says about smiling when the heat's on. Let's start with James chapter 1 verses 2 to 3. James isn't writing this from a cushy spot. He's leading a church scattered by trials, persecution everywhere, and he's blunt. Consider it pure joy. Ever think about that heat? Last Tuesday, 1 p.m., work's heavy. Kids crying, I'm grumbling. But whenever you face trials, says see it. Ever feel like trials kill joy? James says no, they grow it. Because you know, it's not blind, testing produces perseverance. Ever pray for peace and feel crushed? That's when this hits. Faith finds joy in the grind. Not the fix, it's a lifeline when chaos roars. Now, let's pair it with Romans chapter 5 verses 3 to 4. Paul's writing to a church under pressure, trials piling on, and he's clear. We glory in our sufferings. Ever think about that grit? Last Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Deadline's tight. Car bills up, I'm groaning. Where's joy? That's when this lands, suffering produces. Ever feel trials bury light? Paul says no, they build it, perseverance, character, hope. Ever grumble and wish you'd smiled? That's the shift, chaos presses. Faith grows, God's work shines. Right in the mess. These verses vibe. James chapter 1 verse 2-3's pure joy starts with choice. Romans chapter 5 verse 3-4's glory in sufferings shows the fruit. James's church, scattered, testing builds. Paul's trials, endless, hope grows. Ever think midday's your grind? Last Thursday, 1 p.m., work crushes. Kids off, I'm sour. Where's God? But consider it, and glory and tag team it. Joy isn't escaping, it's growing. James didn't fake it. Paul didn't fold, God worked. Ever groan and wish you'd seen? That's when this kicks, trials roar. Joy stands, God's promise builds. Right when the day's darkest. Ever feel light after a heavy trial? That's faith, not fluff. Gritty and real. James says choose, Paul says grow. Why midday? Because that's when trials test, mornings bold, nights calm, but afternoons raw. Last Friday, 2 p.m., work's brutal. Kids loud, I'm grumbling. No joy. Ever feel that drag? That's your shot, pure joy, steadies. Suffering produces, lifts. I've groaned, snapped at delays, felt cold after. But joy? I nod. God's here, and smile, not my win. His. Ever see joy shift the vibe? That's faith, public, gritty, midday real. Trials hit daily. Joy does too. God's not absent, he's building. Right when you're stretched. This isn't theory, James lived it. Paul proved it. James, persecution, joy grows. Romans, sufferings, hope shines. Ever face midday trials? Last Monday, 1 p.m., kids tantrum. Work's late, I could growl. God's gone. But consider it, says choose. I breathe, you're working, and smile, steady. Not sharp. Ever scrape by and wonder how? That's faith, not loud. There, I've grumbled. Snapped at a bill, regret city. Joy? That's strength. God's in your trial too. Ever smile in chaos and feel it? That's him growing you. Why's this matter? Because trials test your heart. Joy proves your faith. I've groaned, sulked over a crunch, felt heavy after. But Friday? Joy won, not slick. Solid, I stood light. Next, we'll unpack how to live this. But for now, what's your midday trial begging for joy? Work press? Kid cry? That's your fight, joy's your stand. Okay, higher calling fam, we're rounding out the core of day 19, finding joy in trials. We've hit what joy means. That Friday where I went from grumbling to steady. And how the Bible backs it with James chapter 1 verses 2 to 3, consider it pure joy. Now, let's get hands-on, because this isn't just a talk to nod at, it's a way to live when work crushes. Kids cry, or bills hit, and joy feels buried. I'm giving you 3 simple steps to find joy in trials, plus a 7-day challenge to lock it in. Ever wish you had a playbook for those midday moments when trials roar and your heart's tempted to groan? That's what this is, real. No fuss moves to see joy when chaos peaks. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in. Step 1. See it. Name the trial when it lands. Sounds simple, right? But it's gold. We're wired to dodge trials, it's fine. I'll push, but it grinds. Wears you down. Ever catch a trial midday? Last Monday, 1 p.m., work's heavy. Kids loud, I'm grumbling. This stinks. Step 1's about owning it. Pause. 5 seconds. See it. Take a breath, like sipping air through a straw, and say, God, this is a trial. Not dramatic, just real. I did it, stood there. Deadline glaring. God, this is rough. No flash, but a nudge, I see it. Ever try that? Just naming the trial when it's loudest? It's the first crack. Joy starts when you see the mess instead of fighting it. Step 2. Pray it. Ask for joy, not escape. Once you've seen it, don't stew, pray. James chapter 1 verses 2 to 3 isn't solo. Testing produces means God's in it. So ask. This isn't a long plea, just a quick, God, help me find joy. Last Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Deadline's tight. Car bills up, I'm groaning. Where's joy? I see it. This is a trial, then pray, God. I'm sour. Show me joy. Takes 5 seconds, ragged. No poetry. Raw. Chaos doesn't lift. But I feel it, a nudge. I'm here. Ever pray that when trials hit? Not for a fix, but for joy to grow? I mutter, pure joy, and nod. That's not me. That's grace kicking in fast. Ever notice praying shifts the grind? It's not about dodging, it's about joy in it. Step 3. Choose it, pick joy, not gloom. Here's the clincher, you've seen it, prayed it, now choose it. Consider it joy, isn't a wish, it's a move, testing builds. After that prayer, I didn't just nod, I chose, joy grows. Last Wednesday, 1 p.m., kids crying. Work's late, I see. Trial, pray, show me, choose. I'll smile, I say. We've got this, steady, not sharp. Ever do that? A breath, a choice. Joy now, small shift. Big light, I've skipped it, groaned over nothing, but choose it, says smile. Ever see gloom lift when you choose? That's Jesus, quiet, real joy. Why every day? Because trials are relentless, work presses. Kids wail, bills drop. Last Thursday, 2 p.m., cars costly. Kids off, I'm tempted. Not now. Ever feel that drag? That's your shot, see it. Pray it, choose it, 15 seconds, trials roar. I'm light, God's here. I've grumbled, snapped at delays, wrecked after. Choosing? That's steady. I grin at my wife. Not glare. Ever try joy when you'd rather groan? That's faith, gritty, real. Trials hit daily. Joy does too. Choosing's your move. The 7-day challenge. Here's your playbook. Try this every midday for a week. Starting tomorrow. Step 1. See it, 5 seconds. God, this is a trial. Step 2. Pray it, 5 seconds. Help me find joy. Step 3. Choose it, 5 seconds. I'll smile. 15 seconds total, mid-crunch, mid-cry, mid-chaos. Last month, I did it, day 1. Muttering over a bill, God. Why? Day 3. Smiling at a kid's mess, no snap. Day 5. Pushing work, not perfect. Light. Ever wonder what 7 days could shift? I was sour, still am, but by day 7. Joy stuck. You in? Try it. See if your afternoons don't brighten. How it works. See it owns the trial. Pray it taps the source. Choose it plants joy. Last Friday, 1:30 p.m. Work's brutal, I see. Trial, pray. Show me, choose. Joy now, I roll, not grumpy. Firm. Ever notice grumbling grows the dark? I've groaned. Regret every time. This, 15 seconds. Joy wins, not dodging. Growing. It's not zapping trials, it's you not breaking. Ever turn a groan into a grin? That's grace, not grit. Joy grows when you choose. Why it's real. James chose joy mid-persecution. Paul grew hope mid-pain. Me? I don't fix trials, I find joy. Last Monday, 1 p.m. Kids loud, I see. Pray, choose. God's here. No rush, steady, trials fade. Joy holds. Ever choose and wonder how? That's faith, pure joy, in the muck. Try it tomorrow. 15 seconds when trials hit. Drop a comment after day 1, I'm cheering you. Next, we'll wrap this, but for now, what's your midday trial begging for joy? Work crunch? Kid cry? That's your shot. Joy's now. Fam, choose it. Hey everyone, Higher Calling fam. We've made it to the end of day 19, finding joy in trials. Wow, what a ride, huh? We've walked a full 100 minutes together. And I'm so thankful you've stuck with me. From those heavy midday trials to the steady truth that's lifted us when chaos roared. Let's wrap this up tight. Because this isn't just a chat to breeze past. It's a way to live when the day's dark and your heart's tempted to grumble. We kicked off with that real grind, those moments when trials pile on midday. Work crushes, kids cry, and joy feels buried under the weight. James chapter 1 verses 2-3 set the tone. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. That's not a gentle nudge, it's a lifeline for when your head's pounding and your soul's groaning. Ever feel like middays when trials hit hardest? That's where this lands, God's joy grows. Fam, right in the mess, we dove into what finding joy in trials means. That stubborn choice to see God's good when chaos presses and grumbling's easier. Midday's the crunch, trials stack, stress spikes, and joy feels impossible. Then I took you into that Friday, 1:15 p.m., coffee's cold. Boss's deadline brutal, kids crying over a toy, car bill soaring, and trials screaming. Groan, version 1. I caved, no joy, snapped at the teacher. Growled at my wife, paced, till I was a grumpy wreck. By 2 p.m., light was gone. A mess nobody wanted near. Total flop, trials owned me. Version 2. I leaned in, pure joy, pushed steady on work. Softened with my wife, sat calm, joy broke through. Trials didn't lift, deadline stayed. Cars costly, but I wasn't crushed. Ever had a day where trials could have sunk you, but something lit up? That's faith, not my mood. His work. Next, we cracked open the Bible. James chapter 1 verse 2-3's, consider it joy, from a persecuted church. Paired with Romans chapter 5 verse 3-4's, glory in sufferings from Paul's trials. These aren't just words, they're anchors for when midday trials hit, work presses. Tears flow, and joy feels far. James says choose it. Paul says it grows, and together, they shout that joy isn't escaping, it's building. And we wrapped with the how-to, 3 steps to live it. See the trial. Pray for joy. Choose to smile. 15 seconds, God, this is rough. Help me see. I'll smile, I've lived it. Monday's kid cry. Tuesday's work crunch, not magic. A lifeline. Then the 7-day challenge, 15 seconds daily to see. Pray. Choose. Shifted me from sour to steady by day 7. Ever wonder what a week of joy could do? That's your shot. Finding joy in trials isn't pretending, it's growing when chaos roars. Here's the heart of it. Finding joy in trials isn't about a perfect fix. It's about a steady light when the heat's on. That Friday didn't erase my deadline or fix the car. It showed me joy's possible, wife softened. I stayed light. Ever feel that nudge, like, you can smile here, even when trials roar? That's God's work, not your grit. I've grumbled, snapped over a bill, groaned at a cry, regretted it every time. But choosing joy? That's the win, work pressed. But my heart lifted, joy grew. Small but mighty. What about you? Where's your midday trial begging for light? The work crunch? The kid meltdown? That's where faith meets you, not when it's easy, but when it's hard, right in the thick of your day. This isn't about dodging trials, it's about shining through them. Every time they hit, think about James, church scattered, he says. Joy. Paul, suffering's endless, hope. Last weekend, I'm at the park, winds blowing, kids fussing. I'm stressing a snack while birds perch steady overhead. James chapter 1 verses 2-3 says, pure joy. Romans chapter 5 verses 3-4 says, glory in. Ever feel trials and wish you'd smiled? That's the shift. God's not too big for your deadline or kids' tears. I've had days, slamming pens over work, grumbling at a bill, could have chosen joy, didn't. Felt heavy after. But Friday? Joy won, not perfect. Just present, I stood light. Ever smile in a trial and feel stronger? That's faith with grit, small choices. Big light, God's work grows. Right when trials peak. Now, fam, I'm handing you the mic. I want your voice in this wrestle. Drop a comment below. What's your Friday trial story? That midday moment where you groaned and crashed, or maybe found joy and stood, tell me. I'm reading every one, or just say, I'm in. If you're jumping on this 7-day challenge, 15 seconds a day. See the trial, pray for joy, choose to smile, right when chaos lands. Hit that like button if this lit something, because it's not just me here, it's us. Walking this faith journey together. And if day 19 sparked you, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell, day 20's coming. Walking in God's peace. And we're diving into how faith steadies you when the day's wild and worry creeps in. It's raw, it's real, and it's next, don't miss it. Before I sign off, hear this. You're not alone in your midday trials. I've been the guy with a brutal deadline, a crying kid, and a car bill yelling, give up, I'm still here. And so are you. That's not chance, that's joy. James chose it. Paul grew it, and we can too. Take this with you, next time work presses or tears fall. You got a lifeline. Consider it pure joy. Try that 7-day run. Fam, I'm rooting for you big time. Maybe it's the deadline you'll smile through tomorrow. Or that kid's cry you'll lighten past, small steps. Mighty joy. Good night, or good afternoon. Whenever you're catching this, and God bless you big. See you for day 20, keep the faith. Keep it real, and let's roll this journey together.